because this is the time of the year when we elect a new board. And our agenda for tonight is electing a new board. Not much else. We're going to do quick introductions for anybody who is a new attendee at our meetings. If so, please raise your hand in the participants list and I'll call on you. But given that we have 81 people here, we're not going to go around and introduce everybody. But it probably is appropriate for the board members to introduce themselves. So I will start. I'm John Belcher, co-chair, and I'll have Claire introduce herself.
Hi, Claire Strawn, co-chair on Horn Lane. Charlesie?
Yes, my name is Charlesie Cartwright. I'm on the board and I live on Norman Avenue.
Joshua.
Hi, I'm Joshua on the board and I live over on Fairway. Yeah, for about 5 years. Jan?
Dan.
Dan?
Dan Isaacson, board member, live on River Road, have for 2 years.
Okay, Dwight, and make your announcement about signing in with Charlesie, would you?
Dwight Owens, board secretary. Please sign in by sending a direct message to Charlesie in the chat. When you go to chat, there's a down arrow next to the name. I think everyone is the one that comes up. Click the down arrow, click on Charlesie, send her your name, address, and phone number and email address. And that way we'll have a record of attendance.
And you
Great,
can start
thank you.
You can start typing CHA like to narrow the focus down too, since there's so
That's a good point. Let's see, is Harry here?
No.
Okay, how about Jackie?
Hey, I'm Jackie Worster. I am on James Street and have been in the neighborhood about 8 years on the board.
And Jan?
Hi, I'm Jan Spencer. I live on Benjamin for 22 years. I'm on the board.
Good deal. Have I forgotten anybody? Nope. Okay. So that's our board, which is going to change, but which is why we're here. So in a few minutes, I'll describe the process and then we'll get down to it. But before that, do we have any announcements? If you
New
have an
people.
announcement. Pardon?
John, do you want to introduce new people?
Oh, thank you for reminding
First
me.
meeting? Yeah.
Is anybody new? I don't see any hands raised. Oh, there's one. Oh, that's me. No,
That's
I
Julie.
don't. Julie Hume, are you?
I put my
in there?
hand up about announcements, John.
There you go. Okay, let's transition to
Thank you.
announcements. Julie,
John, John, this is Mary Burns. I can't get into Zoom. My internet connection is really bad, so it said I could phone in, and I don't know how to send anything to tell you my name and that I'm here.
gotcha. Mary, thank you. We will tell you later, but we do have a process for that. So thanks for reminding me of that. Julie.
Thank you. I wanted to start this evening just by saying thank you to our wonderful board, the current sitting board, as well as the candidates that have filed for election for this evening. It's really inspiring and affirming to see democracy in action in our neighborhood. It's wonderful. My announcement is that, as many of you know, right now the city is going through a process of proposed code amendments to the Willamette River Greenway, and the Greenway Guardians have posted those proposed amendments, as well as setback maps, and also some key points, so that if you would like to weigh in about how you feel about some of these amendments that are not in our best interest, nor in the interest of the river, nor its non-human residents either. I will put in the chat our website, and thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Julie. Julie's on our Greenway committee, and definitely you do want to take a look at that. Jan, you have your hand up.
Yes, I want to mention that at the last meeting we had talking about Beltline, I said I was going to make a presentation about creating alternatives to the car culture. I did, and that presentation is now on YouTube. Also, I want to mention on April 19th, I was asked to make a presentation for the Master Gardeners. That's going to be about permaculture. And Saturday, April 30th, I will host a site tour here at my place. So I'm going to put this information in the chat so you can see it in the chat.
Great, thank you, Jan. Any further announcements? Claire?
Yeah, I'm the person who puts out the newsletter, and I want to celebrate spring in the April edition. So if you have any pictures or gardening tips, or want to share vegetable starts or anything like that related to gardening, I'll put it in the newsletter if you'll send a note to co-chairs at River Road.
Okay. Co-chairs at riverroadco.org.
Yeah.
Thank you. Misty,
It's co-chair at.
co-chair, thank you.
Yeah,
not
thank
plural.
you.
Get the messages.
Yeah, just a quick announcement on Wednesday, Eugene City Council will be voting on renter protections, new rules called PERT. And I just want to give a request if anyone supports folks staying housed at this time, to please email your county elected official in support, and I can send more information or drop it in the chat if you're interested. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be good to put it in the chat. Thank you so much, Misty. Okay, any further announcements? Good deal. So let's talk about how we're going to do this election. The general process is that we will first call for any new nominations or withdrawals, and then we will have sort of a mini candidates forum, giving each candidate up to 3 minutes to tell us about themselves and why they're interested in the neighborhood, what they can bring to the task if they want. And then we will have a Q&A for the candidates up to 20 minutes. Dan Isaacson will be moderating that. And what we will ask you to do is submit your questions in the chat for the candidates, and whether it's for all candidates or a particular candidate. And Dan will make that happen. We will also review with more detail how the voting process will work. But just for those of you that have access to the internet, what I will do is I will post the URL where you can vote. And if you are a registered voter, as it were, in our neighborhood, you should have received both today and about a week ago a voter ID and a key. And you go to that URL and you enter it, and you're able to vote for up to 4 individuals and submit that vote. And if 2 of you are using the same computer, you just have to log back off, have the other person log in with their same URL with their criteria, and they can vote as well. At the same time, for those people that either have trouble logging in, or like Mary, need to register your vote through another alternative way, be aware of Mary Byrne. But what we will do is, for those of you that are online, we want you to raise your hand again as a participant if you're having issues, and either Claire or Jackie will contact you and help you through the problems. If for some reason you can't vote at all, or if you are calling in your vote, Chelsea will contact you and collect your vote verbally. And then at the end, after we've taken 15 minutes to vote electronically, if there are such people, Chelsea will let us know. Then we will merge those numbers and hopefully announce the winner tonight. So that, in a nutshell, is what we're about to do, and I'll work through that as we go along. Any questions at this point?
Did you mention that everybody should check their junk mail folder and their promotion
good point.
folder and stuff if they?
If for some reason you didn't see a message today giving you that key information, go to your junk mail. It probably is there.
And I just put in the chat to everyone the title of the email as well as the sender that it came from in case you need to search with those keywords to make sure that it comes up for you.
Right. So it says RRCO elections as the title, and co-chair of riverroadco.org is the person who sent it to you, at least this time around.
Can we see a show of hands in the participants' reactions list of people who believe they are registered voters but did not receive credentials in the email?
It's a good idea. So yes, again, so Michelle.
Okay, because we have ways to double check. And we don't want to just do all that at the last minute. It looks like we're good, though. I don't see.
Well, Michelle has her hand up, and I'm looking to make sure that she's on the list. She ought to be.
CC, Michelle Renee.
Make sure to
I
raise
already
your hand
checked hers.
electronically rather than
Okay.
raising your
Yeah.
hand.
Okay.
Use the
CC
little- use the
McClay.
little,
I see you.
reactions
Okay,
raising it.
thanks.
So you guys are going to start
And Sandy
contacting those
Gold.
folks via chat, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. So let's hear from our candidates while you guys are working through that. Thank you, Claire. So the list of candidates, I will start with the list and call each of you to speak and give you each 3 minutes to speak. And in a somewhat random order, let's start with Misty Frost.
Hi, sorry, one second. I'm having technical difficulties. Can I go next?
Sure.
Thank
Let's
you.
see. Susan Kittleson is the next person on my list. Susan, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Susan Kittleson. I moved to Eugene about 6 months ago with my husband, Joseph Kittleson, who was born and raised here, and has my mother and father-in-law, who many of you may have met in the past. Hillary and Charles are my next door neighbors. So we're very excited to have moved into the area. One of the big things I want to do is really get involved in community. It's a very important part of my life. And I have recently left the job force in October. I left Microsoft Corporation, where I served for over 18 years. And I also worked at Dell Corporation for a long period of time. And now that I have some additional time freed up, I'm very eager to get involved. I do have significant board membership history. I served on the board of directors for 3 years at Central Texas SPCA. I have also served on the board for 3 years, also in Austin, Texas, on Urban Patchwork, which is an organization that helps turns people's front yards into community gardens. So I've been very involved in working as part of communities, working in part of board groups, and feel very comfortable engaging, making sure that everyone has a voice, but also making sure that we do everything we can to make decisions and keep moving forward, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. It's about progress. So I certainly hope to get the opportunity to meet all of you, and whether I am a member of the board or not, I am absolutely committed to being a participant and engaging with the community. So I look forward to engaging and meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Misty, would you like to go now?
Oh, yes, I can go now.
Okay.
Yes, hi, my name is Misty Frost, and I live on Corliss Lane. I've been here for about 5 years. I'm originally from Montana. My father is an enrolled member of the Crow tribe, and he's also a disabled veteran who I cared for the last 10 years. I grew up in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I'm bilingual and multicultural. I've lived in Oregon for 20 years, 15 of those in Lane County. I graduated from Cottage Grove High School, attended Lane Community College, and I'm just 16 credits shy of my degree in social science, focusing on globalization, environment, and policy. I previously was on the board and was voted off last year. It was a pretty hard blow, but I have recuperated. It was a pretty rough couple of years. I'm sure all of you also had a rough time. But I learned a lot from that loss, and in my solitude, I wanted to figure out who I am. Do I belong in a leadership role? And I did some research, and I found that I'm a Abraham Clark, who's a signer of the Declaration of Independence, is my sixth grandfather, and my ancestors came over. We're one of the first Europeans on this continent, and so I feel really connected to this land and the people, and I want to do the best I can to support folks and my community. I'm very passionate about various issues. I helped found the Social Justice Committee and the Emergency Preparedness Committee during my time on the board. So I'm here again, ready to continue with that work, and I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Misty. Let's see, let's go to Jan Spencer next.
Okay, great. Wow, it's just awesome to see everybody here. And like has been mentioned before, there's plenty of room to be involved with RRCO, whether you're on the board or not. So everybody, there's a place for you. I've been on the board for about 15 of the last 22 years. I was drafted onto the board when I first moved to River Road. At that time, I didn't even know Eugene had a neighborhood program, and it's become one of the most important experiences of my life to be on the board and have the knowledge that there's this opportunity for people to empower themselves in the neighborhood with the help of the city. The city definitely is an assistant here, but it's to empower people in the neighborhood to solve their issues in the neighborhood. And I just can't, I cannot express how important that is for all of us, especially in these changing times. And times are always changing, but I think the pace is going to pick up. My primary interest is creating a more green and resilient neighborhood, like producing more basic needs closer to where we live, like food, energy, water, social cohesion as well. Personally, I don't think our economic system is a partner for helping us move to a more green, resilient, peaceful future. I'm into replacing, finding, creating alternatives to capitalism as we know it. I have a great interest in reducing ecological footprints. We know the term eco footprints. We need to be reducing our ecological footprints in a big way. I've been transforming my own suburban property here on Benjamin Street for 22 years. I mentioned I have a site tour coming up April 29th. More information about that. Thousands of people have visited my place over the years to see what suburbia can look like. I've helped create all kinds of events here in River Road, along with RRCO way back. River Road Rocks. We had the 2015 Northwest Permaculture Convergence at the Rec Center here. We figure 600 to 700 people participated in that wonderful event at the Rec Center. I've got, let's see, let me move this here. Yeah. I also have a radio program that's on locally.
30 seconds, Jan.
Locally, it's KEPW. The program is called Creating a Green and Resilient Future. I just interviewed a gentleman in Barcelona, Spain today about their urban mobility plan. And my program is all about practical information for creating more green and resilient homes and neighborhoods. And I also am anticipating 3 months in Europe starting in May, where I'm going to be visiting a lot of cities and towns that are pushing back on cars And I want to bring that information back here, how Europe is leading the way towards cars, less cars, and a healthier, more pedestrian urban design.
Thank you, Jan.
A future. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Oh, let's see. Stefan Ostrak.
Hello, everybody. I'm Stefan Ostrak. I've lived here in the River Road area in the same house on Mayfair Lane for 43 years now. So I'm pretty rooted in this community. I have served on the board in the past, but did not run for re-election because of pressures from work. But I am now retired, so I have time and energy to resume service should you choose to elect me. My background is in the labor movement. I represented state, county, and municipal employees here in Oregon, including Lane County employees and City of Eugene employees for 10 years in the 80s. And then I spent more than 20 years representing Teamsters throughout Southwest Oregon after that. I've served on a number of boards. I was a longtime board member and president of the Lane County Labor Council. I was appointed by Governor Roberts to the Management Labor Advisory Committee on Workers' Compensation. I served on our local Workforce Development Board, Southern Willamette Private Industry Council. I'm on the state committee of the Oregon Working Families Party, and I'm treasurer and a board member of Temple Beth Israel here in Eugene. So I think I bring a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge about how to operate on a board and how to get things done in meetings. I'd like a chance to serve the neighborhood if you all will choose to elect me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Dwight Owens.
Good evening. I bring a lot of experience to the board. I lived in the Portland metropolitan area for 42 years and was always active in either a neighborhood association, a business association, or serving on some board or committee for the city of Portland. I'm also was active in developing affordable housing through a community development corporation called Rose CDC, where we've developed over 1,000 units of affordable housing in southeast Portland. My main interest is dealing with the unhoused and doing what I can to help solve the affordable housing issues here in Eugene. I'm looking forward to continuing my activity along those lines. That pretty much sums up. I've been a member of the board for I think 3 years, maybe 4 years. Can't remember for sure. I've been the secretary for the last couple of years.
Thank you, Dwight. Carly Gabrielson.
Hi, neighbors. I am Carly Gabrielson. My full name is Carly Silva Gabrielson, and it's great to be here with all of you tonight. I have spent the past decade working for our U.S. Congressman, both managing his campaign and also working as his director of outreach. So I recently found myself with some newfound time and was asking myself how I could utilize both my passions and areas of expertise and get involved here locally. And this opportunity presented itself. So I, am really eager to get involved with this community and to implement some change, particularly with the noise pollution that we've all been impacted by from the Zippo manufacturing plant. And I'm also passionate about transportation infrastructure and would like to be involved here locally as the funds flow from the Build Back Better and our federal government down to localities. And I came to the neighborhood about 6 years ago when I decided to make a lifestyle change and build a tiny house on my mom's property. I was equally excited about reducing my carbon footprint and just changing my lifestyle in general. But truly, my motivation was to find a solution to pay off my student loan debt, which is something that just plagues so many Americans. So I'm really passionate about unique housing models and ensuring that we are focused on affordable housing that allows folks to stay in our community. So I'm incredibly passionate about that. I also care a lot about public safety. Like many of you, there is not sidewalks on LK Drive, and I've had some close calls with vehicles, and I also was impacted by a really terrible car accident on River Road, or excuse me, on a Beltline at the River Road intersection. So, I have a full and adept understanding of some of the issues that are impacting this area. And also how to build coalitions and work with our elected officials and government entities to enact change. So I'm really passionate about expanding civic engagement, particularly with younger folks and those who have been marginalized in the past. And as a board member, I would really like to work with the full membership. I believe that there's a lot of new folks that are involved this year, both brought out by local issues, but also the desire to have community and to get together. So I am optimistic that we can find opportunities to meet in person in the future and maybe volunteer together doing various things.
15 seconds, Carly.
I look forward to your questions later. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carly. I realized that I should have asked if there is anyone who wanted to withdraw or throw their hat in the ring before we started this, but it's not too late. And with that segue, Joshua, and then I'll ask for any further nominations.
Yes, just to let everyone know, I have decided that I am going to take this year off instead of running. Sorry for the confusion with the all the statements and stuff, but yeah, I'm gonna take this year off and just be an involved community member instead of an actual board member.
Thank you, Joshua, and thank you for your wonderful work for the community, and we're not going to let you off the hook entirely. So with that, and I apologize for not doing this earlier, is there anyone who would like to put themselves or someone else in nomination? The one requirement is, well, two requirements. You have to either live, own property, or have a business in the neighborhood, and you have to attended a meeting in the last year. So with those criteria, does anyone wish to throw their hat in the ring? So please raise your hand in the participants list and we'll add you to the list. And while we're waiting for that, I want to thank everybody who has agreed to run. This is awe-inspiring to see how many people have stepped forward. So I see no new names. That's we've got a great slate, so that's fine. So let me make sure I've got everything. The next thing we do is go to Q&As. So if you have questions for the candidates, one or all or some number in between, please submit your questions in the chat, and we'll let I'll turn it over to Dan to handle those questions, if there are any.
Well, John, real quick, the one person is asking how many slots are available for how many candidates. That would be a good
Oh,
thing.
okay, thank you. I should have mentioned that earlier. We have 6 candidates and we have 4 positions. So, and you can vote for 0 to 4. And the software is set up to do that. And I should give credit to Election Runner, which is the software we're using tonight. When I share that URL with you, you'll go to that ballot and just click 4 names and you're good. So any questions showing up in the chat, Dan?
Yeah, we have one for Misty. What work have you done professionally?
Okay, shall I ask each individual in turn? Or do you want to do that, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, Misty, you're up. So I was going to ask the question, and then I'll fire it off to the candidate, and they have, I would assume, 30 seconds or a minute to respond, and we'll move on to the next. For everyone, just go ahead and post your question in the chat or send it to me directly, and I will ask it. Provided it's cordial.
Hi, this is Misty to answer my professional work.
Yeah.
Where do I begin? Sorry. I assisted students at Lane Community College with the enrollment process for 3 years. I then worked as a paralegal assisting in Spanish speaking personal injury and workers' compensation claims. And I also worked as a community and environmental justice community organizer for Beyond Toxics for 3 years, focusing on clean air in Baxter. Let's see, and I currently work at 211 Info on the COVID information hotline. And I also, with 211, supported Oregonians during the wildfires with evacuations and places they could go away from the fires. So yeah, that's my professional work in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thanks, Misty. The next question is for all the candidates, but so I'll take you, Misty, last, so you have a little time since you were on the hot seat to begin with. Question first to Stefan is, how would you approach increasing diversity among members?
Well, that's certainly a big question, and it's distressing that among all of these candidates, there's no one of color. Looking at the gallery view, I don't see anyone of color, and there certainly are people in the neighborhood that are not white. I don't know how I would personally do that, but I think it's a real problem to be addressed by the River Road Community Organization. And I think we need to reach out, find people where they are, and try to connect them to community issues if they are in fact interested in them. But I think that's a real problem. I don't have a solution or anything that I personally would do. I think it's a collective responsibility of the entire organization.
Okay, Carly.
Yeah, really important question. I think that a lot of it starts with letting folks know that we are here and that we are a welcoming community and a place where you can meet your neighbors, and that we want folks to be involved, and that we want a diversification of ideas and backgrounds and experiences. And it can be a little hard to draw people out sometimes, but I think making a welcome space is really crucial. As a political organizer, I'm a firm believer in canvassing and door knocking, and I think that includes businesses here in our community, and also just letting folks know through conversation that we're wanting to do better with expanding diversity. And I think maybe a fun community event at our park would do a lot to bring out some new folks as well. But I think that's a question that we should always be asking ourselves and trying to build off of what we've done in the past.
Susan.
Hi, it's a great question. And I think, as Carly stated, it is one about awareness. I mean, for me, it's about how do you let people know that we're here? I happen to just move in the community. And if I had not moved next door to my in-laws, I don't know that I would have known about the RRCO. I don't see a lot of flyers about it. I don't see a lot on Instagram and Twitter. And yet I'm out there looking because I'm new to the community. I'm new to Eugene, and I've moved here in the middle of a pandemic. And anyone else that has recently moved during a pandemic time, it can be incredibly challenging to become involved because you just don't know where to look. So I think that we could be doing a lot better job with social media. I agree with Carly in terms of canvassing. It is the absolute best way to get out there knocking on doors, being parts of various businesses. There's so many great businesses up and down down River Road. Are we working with them to make sure that they're even just getting flyers up and making sure that people are aware of our organization and that they can participate? So the more we can do to get the awareness out there, the better. That's how we're going to increase the variety and get a more diverse group of individuals attending and participating.
Hey, Susan, how about we'll go to Jan?
Sure. I can't add anything to what's already been said here. I think what Stefan, Carly, Susan said, all of that is good outreach and being welcoming. And I can't add anything more to what's already been said. I support all of that. Thanks.
Dwight.
I agree with Jan. There's not a whole lot to add. The canvassing is a good idea. Prior to COVID, we had talked about doing a neighborhood survey, doing outreach to minority groups, seeing what we could do to be more inclusive in our neighborhood association. I think that would be the best way to go. Also, we need to do more with our signage, get more of our signs and banners out where they can be seen to let people know that we are a diverse, inclusive neighborhood and we want to welcome people in. I think it would be a good topic to address at our upcoming board retreat and map out a way to go about solving that issue.
We'll go back to Misty. I'm missing a couple. So if I've missed you, feel free to pop in, but we'll go to Misty next.
Hi, yes. As Dwight mentioned, we were starting to put together and organize a canvas door to door. We got as far as starting to create the questions, and then we were hit with the lockdown. But personally, in my community organizing experience, I attended and currently attend various meetings that are led by BIPOC communities here locally, and I spent a long time just listening to their experiences in our neighborhood, in our town, and I'm taking that information into this work. And that's one of the reasons why I thought it was very important to establish the Social Justice Committee and do this work, being mostly, if not all white, active members and board members, recognizing that we have a lot of work to do amongst ourselves in becoming more accessible and open and equitable. So equity is the foundation of all the work that I do in my life, in my personal life and in my professional life. It's always a top priority for me. And so I hope to continue doing this work through the Social Justice Committee and doing the canvas door to door and uplifting BIPOC voices. Thank you.
I'm still missing a couple people. So who am I missing? I got Susan, Jan, Stefan, Dwight, Misty, and Carly. We're missing two folks, it looks like.
I think that's everybody, but if I can just add a little bit to my answer, since I got put on the hot seat first, I think we've got a very good resource in our community in River Road, El Camino Del Rio School and Kelly Middle School. And I think we could maybe do a lot to reach out there, and we need to produce some bilingual materials to so that we can reach out to Spanish speaking and Spanish reading people. And I do think it's a high priority, and I think we should.
Thanks, Stefan. This is a nice question that we can kind of dovetail into it. We'll start with you, Susan. So we talked a little bit about expanding to different communities. One way might be to talk about kids in our communities and how they might interact with some of the different activities we have going on during the summer. What ideas do you have to involve more River Road youth into civic activities and so that they can develop a sense of belonging and ownership into the community?
I would love to give you a great answer. I don't know what we've done historically. So as someone who's just moved into the area within the last 6 months, I haven't seen a lot happening in the community around the schools. I saw a couple events that were mostly pandemic related. So first thing I'd want to do is educate myself. What have we done in the past? What has participation been? You know, how are people engaging and what has and hasn't worked? The second thing I'd do is, once again, I'm going to hype on social media. You know, my past 3 years professionally have been in the marketing space, sales and marketing. And I know it's really important. You don't expect people to come to you where you are. You have to go to them. And I don't know that we're doing that. I don't know that we're educating the youth and that they're seeing what's happening. Because if we're expecting them to see it when they're walking into a store or in a flyer, or if we're expecting them to see it at school, there are so many things that are hitting them. You have to be able to make sure that you're communicating in a variety of ways, and you got to communicate in ways that they're going to listen. So I think our social media could significantly improve, and that we could do more to reach the youth. And then it's all about listening to them and listening to what they want, because we all have our opinions and we all have our own personal passion areas, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's theirs. And if we are going to continue to grow this community and see it strong for a very long period of time, we need to get a lot of younger people involved. And I see a lot of young people moving into the community, seeing a lot of baby strollers going up and down LK, and I love it. And I want to see more of those individuals and younger families getting involved, because they'll be able to bring lots of ideas to the table that I might not be able to. And at the end of the day, I don't expect to have all the answers, but I do want to listen and make sure that we're trying to identify opportunities. And then I'm all about failing fast. Let's test something, see if it works. Let's have identify what we think good and done is, and then make that decision whether we're going to move forward or not and try something new. It's all about failing fast.
Thanks, Susan. Carly, you're an organizer, so this is a little bit of a layup question for you. So how would you kind of dovetail going after expanding our youth programs and introducing RRCO to its parents as a result?
Absolutely. The perpetual problem of getting youths involved. I think what Susan said is really spot on. It's about reaching young people where they're at, which is on social media, and also recognizing that, frankly, 85% of what's discussed in these meetings isn't really pertinent to a young person's life. And so creating a space, maybe it's a new membership and youth engagement committee where we can actually be thoughtful and think these things through, and let new members, youth who are considering being involved, let them know that this is kind of a great first stepping stone to getting involved in later volunteer opportunities or internships, or building out their resume for whatever they want to do in the future. And I think it's also about mentorship, not just asking folks to show up at these meetings and listen to all of us, but building those one-on-one relationships and telling your story. I mean, we all remember being young and kind of not knowing what to do with ourselves and looking for direction. And I think really providing those opportunities, and also doing some fun things. Again, doing something in the summer where we can invite folks to come and participate, and maybe we have some sort of band there. And I think it's also calling upon everyone that's in this meeting now, and reach out to your neighbors, reach out to the young folks surrounding you, and let them know. We should all let them know that we want to hear from them, and that we care about the things that they care about, and that their voices are just as important as all the adults here.
Thanks, Carly. Jan has his hand up, but I want to pass it back to John. John, do we have time to take Jan, or do you want to go on? You're muted. You're muted.
Thank you. If Jan hasn't answered this question, or anyone else, let's let them answer. And then I think it's time to go to the election.
Well, before Jan, you do that, one of the interesting things that we're seeing right now is kind of a dichotomy between the existing board members and new and fresh blood. So if you can think about what you've done in terms of the board so far and how it might bring in that new fresh blood, I think that'd be really interesting for the rest of the folks who are just maybe introduced to you for the first time. Jan, you're up.
Yeah, well, we've had small little examples of the kind of participation I'd like to see already happen. We just need to make it larger. And what I would foresee is creating something in the neighborhood that could be something like an Earth Corps. And that Earth Corps would have projects that young people and even anybody could be involved with. Specifically, I've been sort of the liaison, citizen liaison with the Filbert Grove with the city. I have a written document agreement to work on the Filbert Grove, and there are several such relationships along the Greenway. Becky, of course, at Razor Park. We've had work parties at the Filbert Grove where we've had young people, Rachel Carson, another would be from Marist High School. We've had young people come and work in the Filbert Grove. We all know we'd like to work and enhance, make the habitat better, remove the invasive species in the Filbert Grove. There's an endless amount of work. And if we can get that kind of a movement and a plan going, then we could have events and invite all the community and specifically young people to come and work on restoring the habitat. And then that could be also a link to that could be how can we engage young people maybe in helping turning front yards, turning them into gardens and doing permaculture here in the neighborhood, which I have an enormous interest in doing that. And this is a project I personally
we got to wrap it up. I'm sorry.
Would be personally engaged in. I love this idea. I've been thinking about it a lot.
Misty, how about you?
Yes, I just wanted a few notes. I have a daughter and she is 14. And if I apply my rules of listening first and then supporting and help folks lead in on the issues that affect them. My daughter complains a lot about the food in our schools and the cafeterias. It's just awful. I could show you pictures, but I wouldn't want you to lose your dinner. So advocate and support youth on issues that they feel are important. Safety for BIPOC youth, support around hazing and bullying in our community is very important as well, to support schools in managing that, because it's being a parent and hearing what's going on in our schools right now due to social isolation. Our youth are struggling, that's for sure. And so it's also a top priority of mine, being a mother. Thank you.
Thanks, Misty. How about Dwight? Yep, you're muted.
I think it's a good idea to get the youth involved. We've got North Eugene High School, a couple of middle schools. I think doing outreach, getting together with the parent groups and developing activities that kids can be involved in, like working in the Walnut Grove. I think there's other activities that we can do to bring them into being involved in the community.
Thanks, Dwight. We should wrap it up with Stefan.
Hi, again. I don't have much to add. I liked Carly and Susan's ideas, and Jan's as well. I think it would be a good thing to do, and I support those ideas.
Okay, John, it's back to you. I did send you a message. Would you mind taking a look at that and let me know what you feel about it real quick?
Okay, person and the phone or on?
On here on chat.
Okay. Why don't you, can you ask me? Because I'm looking for it.
Yeah, so I'll just say, so I serve on a number of different boards, and since we have a captive audience here, there's obviously more people running than positions. And so there are gonna be some folks here who aren't going to be selected, but I would be remiss if we didn't take the opportunity, not only with the people who have stepped forward, and thank you for doing so, because our communities benefit by you doing that, but there are a number of boards throughout our community that are really starving for good help. The NAACP is looking for board members. Reality Kitchen down the street is looking for board members. NAMI, Lane County is looking for board members. So if you have a passion to serve and you have a skill set, the number one thing I routinely get when I talk to folks who want to join different boards that I'm a part of is folks feel as though they are not going to be able to give the time commitment that we're expecting, which is not necessarily true. It's usually a very small amount of time commitment. And two, that everyone else who is already serving has this breadth of knowledge that they don't have, and they're not going to be able to add much to it. And that is just totally not correct. I'll give you one example. I serve on the board of directors and the president of the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I have a lot of initials after my name. None of them are mental health. I came to it by personal tragedy and wanted to get involved and kind of worked my way into that sphere. And I think I add a different perspective, having not come from that community right out of it. So if there is a willing desire to serve, there is a lot of need in our community. And that's one of the things that makes our community great, is that we have so many people willing to step up. So be thinking about that before we do the vote for the other 130, what would be 129 folks who are just here. There's a way to serve if you want to do it. John, back to you.
Thank you. As we're about to go into the actual election, a couple of few things. One last chance for anybody who wants to throw their name in the ring. If so, raise your hand and we'll bring you in for that purpose. There are a couple of people that we know we have some issues for. Claire and Jackie. Cece McKay in the text says she hasn't received an email to give her access. She is a registered voter. So if one of you could text her that information, that would be great. See no hands raised. I am going to initialize the election. In a minute, I'll be able to share the URL with you. So give me a second to make that happen. This is so exciting. We've been working on this for a long time. Fingers crossed that it works. Okay.
Hey, John, I'm going to just put the link in the chat for the web page where we're going to.
Okay, yeah, why don't you tell folks about that?
So you don't necessarily have to stick around once you've voted if you don't want to. We were thinking that if there was enough interest, we could create some breakout rooms where people could go and just have conversations if you want to wait until we get the results back once everyone has finished voting. But I did create a page, and I'm just going to put the link in the chat right now where we are going to post the results after we get them. So if you don't want to stick around, then you're welcome to go once you've voted and just check that page a little later tonight.
Oh, they're making me say I understand. Okay. Okay. We have a URL. We're ready to vote. In a minute or two, well, as soon as it's appropriate, Charles, so you make sure you connect with Mary Byrne and get her ballot because she's only calling in.
John,
Yes.
there are actually two people who have called in, and I will speak up and make arrangements. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. So what Charlie will do is come on here and let you know that you need to hang up so she can call you and get your vote. And that also means at the end, we'll have to take a second or two to amalgamate their votes into the election. So with that, any other?
John, where is the URL? I don't see it.
I haven't sent it out yet. Just a second.
Oh, okay.
Trying to make all this happen at once. Okay.
Hey, John, this is Mary. John, can you hear me? This is Mary
Yes.
Burns. I'm in Mexico, so she probably, the phone is kind of wonky. Can I call her instead,
Yes.
or can she email me?
I could email you my phone number and we can, maybe that would be, yes, I'll email you, Mary.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's the one we hadn't anticipated, Mary, but I think we can work through it. So I am about to post the URL. There it is. So you should see in the chat, https voteelectionrunner.com, election, and then the magic path is capital O, lower B, X 9N. Does everyone see that?
Nope.
Well, it should be in the
No.
chat.
Did you send
You
it
sent
to
it to
everyone?
everyone?
Oh, maybe I haven't sent it yet. There we go.
Oh, here we go.
There it is. Okay, so you have approximately 15 minutes to get on and check and enter your votes. If for some reason after a couple of tries you can't do that, please raise your hand again as in the participants list, and we will try to contact you individually and work through any problems that you might have. And I would suggest you just copy it out of the chat and then just put it in your browser, and that's the easiest way to get there. In fact, I'm doing that right now.
John, if you just click on it, most of us will just immediately go there without ever
Good point.
copying.
Thank you.
So
yes, you
So
can
it
just
says
click on it.
voter, it says voter ID and voter key. I don't know
That
if
should
those
be
are
in
all
the
my
email
voter
you got
ID
earlier,
card.
Marion. You got an email earlier?
ID is username.
I got a number
okay.
there, but I don't know whether that's the voter ID or the voter key.
Your
And
name
one I
is the
voted off by-
ID.
Okay.
ID is your name, your username.
Okay, I was able to vote.
I voted.
I'm still getting notes. They can't find the URL in the chat. Can you repost it, John?
Sure. And I tell you what I'll do. I'll put it on a
I can't find
document.
it either.
Okay, it's going in right now, once again.
If, okay.
Should be the last thing in the chat. Harry, I assume you have your hand up because you can't vote. That's where we're at now. Is that something else the case?
No, I can vote, but I thought Joshua was going to be on the candidate list. Did that change?
Well, you weren't here when he resigned.
Okay.
Yeah, I decided that I actually am really going to need to focus on some work stuff this year, and that I'll just be involved and not actually run.
All right. Well, you and me both, brother. Sorry to hear that. I was yeah. Anyways, sorry.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Harry.
It's looking like I have a big year this year. So.
And I was going to thank everybody who is leaving the board at the end of the meeting, but since both of you have announced that intention, I'll thank you now and then again later. Appreciate the work that both of you have provided personally, and I'm sure all of us do.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Could you hold on 1 second, please? I'm in the middle of voting myself and
Charles, you're not on mute, Gina.
hold on. I'm sorry.
Charles, put yourself on mute when you talk to Mary.
She's got it.
Okay.
So do we want to create any breakout rooms? Does anyone wanna...
We never made that happen, Joshua. So
okay.
I guess we're just going to have to look at each other's smiling faces for another 11 minutes and 35 seconds.
How many votes are in, John? Do you know how many
I
votes are in?
can't tell.
Oh.
I could try refreshing the screen and see if that makes a difference. Oh, 54% of us have voted.
But that might be 54% of the entire
130. Well, 133 voters have voted. That's true.
That's almost everybody, or we only had like one.
No, we have 251 registered voters,
Yeah,
but
but
they're
that
not
they
all
are
here.
not necessarily here.
But all the people
So-
that showed up at the meeting was 130 something. So I think we're
Right.
But
Right.
I just want to interject. You need to account for multiple people in individual
Yeah,
households.
we know
I
that.
voted for
We
you
know
and
that.
Carly, and that's all.
Yeah, we know
So
that.
Carlene has her
It's built
hand up,
in.
so I'm going to call on her.
I just have an announcement. We were listening to the city council work session prior to the RRCO meeting, and the vote was 6-1 to approve the moving ahead recommendations. Unfortunately, Greg Evans wasn't able to make his Zoom link work, so he wasn't there. I'm sure he would have been positive, but it went forward quite smoothly.
Oh, great. Thank you. So in the interest of time, if there's anyone who wants to vote and has not been able to, would you raise your hand, please, now?
Looks like we're good.
Well, Harry's hand is up.
He's not at the top of the page.
Yeah, he is. Harry, were you unable to vote?
Not on my page.
I'm able to vote. If I could just have like 30 seconds, I'll get that in.
Okay. Drop your hand when you're voted, okay?
Okay. A couple people need a few more time, a little more time.
I see that now. Thank you. So thank you, everybody. I know this is a little bit weird the way we're doing this, but I think it's going to work out.
I gotta say that as far as I know, we're the first ones to ever do this thing in a Zoom meeting and for a neighborhood association with so many participants, and appreciate everybody making this great leap forward. We have two people with your hands up.
So Sandra, are you having trouble voting?
No, I just wanted to ask if this is the last official business item, such as if we leave, is that okay, or are we departing too soon from a business meeting?
Well, you can leave if you wish, but in a minute or two, hopefully we'll be able to give you the results if you want to hang for that.
I apologize. Is there any business after that?
No,
Thank you. That was my question.
other than thanking everybody for their time on the board and for this meeting.
John, I need to interrupt because I need
Yes.
to ask another person who's called in to let her know that I'm going to be calling her back if she wants,
Okay.
or she can call me. Anyway, it's Janine Malito. And her last 4 digits of her phone number are 1614. Janine, are you there? Okay, she might not be here and I'm not sure.
You might try calling her.
I think I will. Thank you very much.
Gary, did you have a question or difficulty voting?
No, I just had a quick question.
Yes, sir.
When are we going back to real meetings?
I think we can have that discussion at our next general meeting. How's that?
Now you silenced us. Okay.
I can say that as far as I know, no government body is meeting in person yet. So I think that would be a clue that might be time. But
John, Bethel School Board just met last week.
okay, thank you, Harry. I stand corrected. We have one board that has met. So Gary, we will ask the membership if they're comfortable doing that. We do have the option of hybridizing. So it's soon to be in the future, I hope. Okay, Charlesie's taking care of that, those ballots, and I'll have to hear from Charlesie once we close the election so we can incorporate those ballots as well, and then I can announce the results. So it'll be a few more minutes.
Done a good job.
But one last time, if you're having difficulty registering your vote, now would be the time to raise your hand in the participants list.
Ava, you're on mute.
Misty, you have your hand up?
Yeah, just a quick question. Are you gonna show your screen to show the results? Like, is it in a graph or something to show the results? Or are you just gonna make the announcement of?
My intention was just to make the announcement so that,
Okay.
I mean, there are pluses and minuses both ways, obviously. But I thought it would be appropriate to the people who are willing to run, not to know if they didn't do well, that people would be aware of that.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense. I was just curious.
I'm going to invite people to do a straw poll for voting and meeting in person. If you go down to the reactions icon at the bottom, there's a green check mark and a red X. So if you'll vote, green check mark means you're ready to meet in person and red X means you're not, just out of curiosity. We do have the ability to do both in person and Zoom, but
Claire, what about hybrid?
yeah, we do have that potential. The park has put some fancy screens and stuff in the annex, so that's a possibility.
But we don't have a yellow for hybrid. So
Claire, I'm going coffee mug for hybrid. Somebody wants to join me.
Okay.
Charles, have you recorded everyone's vote?
I have. I'm trying to find the URL for where it's going to be posted. Some of the remote people have asked to have that, so I was going to send it to them after the meeting.
Okay, Joshua, you want to put that back up again?
Which one?
The URL where we will post the results.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Thank you.
And Chelsea, do you want to call me and tell me how
Yeah,
we're doing?
let me do that.
So I will mute.
Okay, I'd like to copy that URL before it gets lost again. I'm hoping that oh, here it is. Good deal.
So so far the poll on meeting in person is 13 for, 14 against, and 13 coffee cups.
I like being a
Chelsea,
trendsetter.
when
Can
you're
you
ready to
repeat that
share,
again,
call me.
Claire? I wasn't thinking about coffee cups, so I missed the count.
Oh, 13 for, 13 against, 16. And now people are being clever with their votes. I don't know what those mean. 16 hybrids. You can take down your vote now if you want to.
I feel like the only thing we're missing here is like a talking head style news announcer that's like, you know, giving the blow by blow, like I see John in the bullpit tallying numbers. I think he's talking to Charlesy now. They're conferring. Yes, I think we're going to have the results here soon.
70% of the votes are in, and we have
a really bad Steve Kornacki. I guess I could start working on that, but I'll go to the big board.
Okay. John, you're on mute. If you think you're talking to us, you're not.
Thank you. I was talking to Chelsea and collecting her votes. So I have that information and I will now go and compile it into the regular voting, and then I'll be back.
So we have a question in the that I just got. Does anybody know the capacity of the River Road Annex? I don't, but I can't imagine it's more than about 50, 70 people, probably at most.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dan. It's about that.
Okay.
If in any regards, 50 people would be crowded.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to take over the big room in the main building.
Well, those are all high-class problems to have, right?
Right. I know that they have improved ventilation there and also Wi-Fi facilities and a big screen in the annex. So
Maybe start with some kind of hybrid, a picnic together outside where we're not really actually even inside meeting, just as a,
How do you do a hybrid picnic, Brenda?
you don't do a hybrid picnic, but it's outdoors and it would be a way for us to get together as we break out of, it isn't about isolation. It's about getting better, about the COVID's getting better.
Yeah, seeing each other.
Celebration.
Yeah, we should have a party. Invite the teenagers.
Invite the
Okay.
local Mexican folks to let us buy food from them.
So I have taken the votes of the two people who voted via phone and combined them with the votes that were done electronically, and drum roll, please. Our top four are, in no particular order. I'll do it alphabetically just to keep it totally on whatever. So Carly, Misty, Susan, and Stefan are our new board members. So,
Wow. Will you
thanks.
show your screen, John? There was a request for you to share screen.
Share what?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
From the voting software, you got a tally screen, right?
Well, then we will display all the votes that people get, the number of votes that people got. And I think we decided we wouldn't do that.
Well,
I think that's fair to the people that are willing to run, that they don't have their tallies displayed. We can change that if we want and put it on our webpage if the board wants to change that, but I thought that was the decision we had reached.
okay. Well, I'm really excited about working with these new board members. And boy, we got a lot of work to do.
We certainly do. And I also want to thank Harry and Dwight and Joshua for all the stellar work they've done over the years for us as well. And hopefully you'll continue to stay involved in committees.
And don't disappear before you transfer your responsibilities.
That's a good point too.
Don't disappear, period.
So, and thanks to everybody who has joined the organization and participated in this election. I know it was a little wonky, but we got her done. Any other thoughts for the last of the meeting?
Yeah, I'm going to put my contact information in the chat before we go. If other people would like to serve on other boards or have questions about them and they want it to ask what they might feel is a dumb question, but I promise there is no such thing, they can reach out to me personally.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Lynn, I see your hand.
You didn't mention Jan, and
Oh, I did? I'm sorry.
And Jan, I rely on Jan to stay, being the neighborhood reliant, self-reliant
me.
ambassador and our world outreach for information. He's
My
irreplaceable.
apologies to Jan.
Yeah, definitely. Booster. He's the one who always comes forward with stuff to put in the newsletter, and I invite you all to do that as well.
He's our board emeritus. The tenured track.
So thank you again, Joshua, Jan, Dwight, and Harry.
John, why don't you just type the names of the 4 candidates that succeeded into the chat if you haven't already? Just so that...
Okay, will do.
Or cut and paste.
Oh, wait. Arrgh.
Are we done?
Well, I'm typing in as requested.
Oh, I saw them in the chat already. Carly,
Really?
Misty, Stefan, and Susan.
And John, I might have been distracted when you said this, if you said it, but the folks, those of us that are departing, like, we can still be on committees, we can even still attend meetings, like there's no, just because you're not officially on the board doesn't mean you can't be fairly involved.
Right.
Correct. Okay, it's in the chat. Chelsea, have you saved your chat for folks who?
Yes.
Okay, good deal.
I'll go ahead and put those names on the website.
Okay.
Folks that have.
I think we are good for the order, correct?
Yeah, the other board members are myself, John, Jackie, and Charlesy.
And Dan.
And Dan, I'm sorry. Yeah, Dan.
You just did that so I wouldn't look bad. Okay.
Excellent job. And we've ended ahead of time. Oh, my
Yes.
God.
And let me throw in another thanks to both Joshua and Charlesy, because we put a lot of work into figuring out how to make this election work. And it went fairly well. Thanks. We are dismissed.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, everyone.